Hi, my name is Alexandra Halberstadt, and I'm currently a first year at the Pennsylvania State University. The study that I'm going to talk about investigated the relationship between maladaptive personality traits and smoking and nicotine dependence. And I conducted this study along with Dr. Kasey, Dr. Carillon Skrzynski at Carnegie Mellon University, and Dr. Aidan Wright at the University of Pittsburgh. So as a personality disorder researcher, I'm especially interested in the alternative model for personality disorders in the DSM-5 and the personality traits described in that model, which I'll get to a little bit later. So let's get into some background. Individuals with personality disorders have higher rates of chronic health conditions than the general population. And one contributor to this may be that people with personality disorders have higher rates of maladaptive health behaviors, including smoking. And because health behaviors have been shown to play a role in the excess morbidity and mortality of people with personality disorders, it may be important to understand what specific personality traits play a role in smoking behavior, which can lead to dependence on nicotine. In other words, when looking at intervention and treatment, it's important to understand the comorbidity between personality disorders and smoking and why that occurs. Previous research has investigated the relationship between categorical personality disorders and smoking. And in that research, all of the personality disorders have been shown to be correlated with smoking in one study or another. So it may be possible to understand the common comorbidity between smoking and nicotine dependence and personality disorders by looking about how traits are linked to both personality disorders and smoking. And in this study, we looked at how the alternative model for personality disorder traits are related to smoking and nicotine dependence. And those traits are psychoticism, negative affectivity, disinhibition, antagonism, and detachment. And we predicted that psychoticism, negative affectivity, disinhibition, and antagonism would be related to smoking status, such that higher rates of these traits would make people more likely to be current smokers. And then our nicotine dependence analyses were mostly exploratory. So we used a Qualtrics panel to recruit 500 participants for this study, and about half of them were smokers. We used the personality inventory for the DSM-5 to assess personality traits and the Fagerstrom test for nicotine dependence to assess nicotine dependence. We used a multinomial logistic regression analysis to examine the relationship between personality traits and smoking status. So we compared current versus former smokers and also current versus never smokers. Then we used bivariate correlations and linear regression analyses to look at the relationship between personality traits and the level of nicotine dependence within current smokers. Our results showed that a 1-point increase in antagonism scores increased the odds of being a former smoker over a current smoker by about 2 times. And additionally, a 1-point increase in detachment scores increased the odds of being a current smoker over a never smoker by about 2 times. While we do provide an interpretation of these results in the poster, I want to say here that these results should be interpreted with caution. There was a high correlation between the traits, meaning that the actual meaning of antagonism and detachment when the shared variance between traits is removed is a little bit hard to interpret. And these effects may be due more to suppression than an actual replicable relationship. Though not discussed in the poster, the correlation analyses show that the level of nicotine dependence was positively correlated with both negative affectivity and disinhibition. And this is in line with a larger body of literature that suggests that neuroticism is related to smoking, and previous studies have shown that impulsivity has been correlated positively with nicotine dependence. A linear regression analysis that included all of the traits at once didn't actually show this association. So this means that negative affectivity and disinhibition were no longer associated with nicotine dependence when we removed the shared variance between those traits and the other 4 traits. So this study was cross-sectional, so the mechanism behind the relationship between negative affectivity and disinhibition and nicotine dependence is a little bit unclear. I want to leave you with some final notes. So the Surgeon General stated that 1 out of 3 cancers could be prevented by not smoking, and this research is aimed to discover more about the at-risk population that can benefit from intervention programs. It may be that understanding the traits that are related to both nicotine dependence and personality disorders can provide some avenues for intervention. And further research will need to be done to elucidate the mechanism behind the relationship between negative affectivity, disinhibition, and nicotine dependence. Thank you.